Okay, so now move on to our next type of mode of heat transfer, that is called convection. Okay, so in convection, as I already explained, briefly explained about the convection. Convection here, the heat flows from one point to other point due to the actual movement of particles. Actually, the particles are involved in the movement. They carry the energy. They are called convection. Okay, so last time we have taken an example for convection as the boiling of water. So what happens in case of boiling of water is, if you take water in a container, okay, you know that this, let me assume that these are the water molecules, okay, for the sake of discussion, let me assume that these are the water molecules, okay, so to save my time, I am taking these molecules in a large size, okay, so these are the water molecules, okay, so you can see that if you supply heat at the bottom of the container, as you can see that the water molecules which are present at the bottom of the container, first they absorb this heat energy, okay, because they are in close contact with this flame. So this molecule first they absorb the heat energy. As we know that when the molecules, the material absorb heat, the expansion take place, the increase of size take place, okay, so when this molecule absorb the energy, automatically the volume of the molecule increases, okay, as the volume of the molecule increases. What about density? So how the density is defined? Density is defined as mass by volume. As the volume increases, automatically your density decreases. Now you can see that now these molecules are present at the bottom of the container. Why they are present at the bottom of the container? We can give a simple reason that their density is somewhat more compared to the other molecules. Therefore, as the density is more, that particular molecule should sink. Therefore, they are lying at the bottom of the container. Now, in this case, when you supply heat to that particular molecules, then the density decreases. As the density decreases, what happens? They should move to the upper portion, okay, top portion, because as the density has been decreased compared to other molecules, therefore this time it should float. So they go to the upwards, and the molecules which have higher density, they come to bottom of the container. So the circulation of molecule take place, okay, as the molecules circulate, each time they carry energy, okay, they carry some heat energy. Therefore this time heat energy is transferred from one point to the other point with the movement of the particles. Therefore we call this phenomenon as convection. This phenomenon is called convection, okay, as I already explained in the last class. So this is nothing but convection, okay, but I call this convection as, okay, today's in topic, I call this convection as a natural convection. I am calling this convection as natural convection, okay. What is called natural convection? You can see that now this is a naturally taking place, okay, so the gravity affects here, the density affects here, now it get heated, density decreases, so automatically it goes to the upper side and it comes to the lower side. No external agent is required, no external force is required, therefore it is a natural phenomena, therefore we call it as natural convection. And there is a second type of convection. That convection is called forced convection. Second type of convection is called forced convection, okay. In case of forced convection, see, here is also the movement of the particle take place, they carry the energy, but some external force is required, okay, some external force is required. Now that external force pushes the particles, due to that force the particles are moving, therefore it is called forced convection, okay. The best example is if we take the the blood circulation. Okay, so our blood circulate throughout our body. Okay, as the blood circulate, it carry energy, it carry the heat energy. Okay, therefore our body temperature throughout the body it remains same. It carry the heat energy, it carry the energy. Okay, it carry the minerals, it carry the water like this. Okay, so who supply energy to throughout the body? It is the blood. And how this blood moves? Okay, so when it go to downwards, okay, so it is you can say that it's due to the gravity. Okay, it moves to upper portions also. Okay, it is moving opposite to the gravity also. So who pushes this one? Who pushes the blood here? Simple. Who pushes? The heart. Okay, so therefore our heart applies certain force, pressure on the blood to circulate. Therefore, heart pushes here. So this is a convection. Okay, blood flow from one point to other point, it carries the energy, it is a convection. But it is not a natural convection. This time, heart pushes the blood here. Therefore, now such kind of convection is called forced convection. Are you getting me? And this convection is called forced convection. Okay, you can give the number of example for forced convection. Okay, let me take one more simple example for forced convection as your hair dryer. Okay, your hair dryer. Okay, somewhat when you after taking your bath. Okay, so let me assume that your hair is wet. Okay, you want to dry it, so therefore you use a hair dryer. Okay, let me take a rough shape of an hair dryer. It is in the form of some gun shape like this. It contains two parts. One is a heater part, okay, and second is an fan part. Okay, one heater is there, one fan is there. Okay, when current pass through this heater, that heater gets heated. Okay, as this heater get heated, the air molecules present near the heater, they also get heated. Okay, so therefore these air molecules get heated, but they are not moving. In this case, the concept of gravity take place, the decrease or increase of density take place, due to that the circulation take place. But here, not same here. Okay, so therefore these air molecules get heated. So simultaneously in your okay hair dryer, a fan is there, and this fan pushes this hot air molecules. When this fan pushes these hot air molecules, they move from this point to this point. Okay, they move into your hair, and your hair get dried up. Okay, so therefore the hot air molecules move from this point to this point. So this is a convection. They carry the heat energy, but it is not natural. You are pushing. Okay, this fan is pushing the area. Therefore now that convection is called forced convection. Okay, so you have the two type of convection. One is called natural convection and second is called forced convection. Okay, so in nature we have large number of example for convection. Okay, it may be natural, it may be forced convection, but you can give the large number of example for convections here. Okay, so there are some main okay, so physical phenomena which based on the principle of convection, let me discuss here. Okay, so first is called sea breeze. Okay, sea breeze. What is sea breeze? Breeze means it is a cool air. Okay, if this cool air is coming from sea, then we call it as CP, sea breeze, and the reverse one is land breeze. Okay, if the cold air comes from land, then we call it as land breeze. Okay, so first let me discuss about sea breeze. Okay, so sea breeze means now this breeze take place near the beach. Okay, so sea means sea and land is present. Okay, if you take a beach here, if I draw the picture of a beach, okay, now this is the land part and this is the water part. Okay, so here your okay, so you have some water. Okay, now this is the water part, sea, and this one is your land part which contain sand particles. Now see here, during daytime, okay, so daytime the sun is present, and sun is the main source of heat energy. So the sun gives heat energy to water as well as the land. Okay, so as they absorb the heat energy, they get heated. Water and land both get heated. But you can see that what is the specific heat of water? The specific heat of water is roughly around 4200 joule per kg Kelvin. What is meant by specific heat? If you take 1 kg of water, okay, so if you want to increase its temperature by 1 Kelvin, okay, if you take 1 kg of water, if you want to increase the temperature by 1 Kelvin, then roughly you require an energy of 4200 joule. Are you getting me? Okay, to raise the temperature of 1 Kelvin, you require 4200. If you go for sand particles, okay, so approximately I can say that something 500, or let me take 400 joule per kg Kelvin. Okay, that means if you take 1 kg of sand, if you want to raise the temperature by 1 Kelvin, then how much of energy is required? 400 joule of energy is required. Okay, as you can see that to raise the temperature of water by 1 Kelvin, you require 4000 joule roughly, and you to raise the temperature of 1 Kelvin of a land, you require 400. That means what? When the energy becomes 4000, roughly, I can say that if the heat energy supplied, so who is supplying heat energy? The sun. The sun supply for, let me take 4000 joule of energy to the water. At the same time, it is supplying some 4000 joule of energy to the land. Both are getting the same amount of energy. So when 4000 joule of energy is absorbed by the water, then its temperature rises by 1 Kelvin. When this 4000 joule of energy is absorbed by the land, then its temperature rises by, you can see that it only requires 400, but you're getting 4000 10 times, therefore the temperature increases by 10 Kelvin. Therefore, during the daytime, land get heated more compared to water. Okay, you can't stand on the beach. You can't stand on the beach because the sand is too hot, but if you can easily stand in the water. Okay, because water heats slowly compared to the land. Are you getting me? Who is responsible? The specific heat is responsible. Okay, so therefore during the daytime, land is hot compared to water. Okay, so this land is hot compared to water. So water is cold body, land is the hot body here. Okay, so as this land has more temperature, okay, so you can see here the air molecules which are in contact with this surface of the land, they also get heated due to conduction. They are in contact. Okay, due to the conduction they get heated. As they get heated, as you know that their volume increases. Okay, as their volume increases, that means what? Their density decreases. As their volume increases, their density decreases. So therefore they rise upward, just like the flow of water. Okay, as the density decreases, they rises. This time they are not at the bottom; they go to the upward. Okay, so as this part of the molecules goes upwards, a gap is created. Okay, to fulfill this gap, now you can see that now here is also air molecules are there. They are in contact with water. As this gap is created, automatically this part of the air comes here. Okay, as they are in contact with the water, this is a cooler one, this part is a hot one, this part is a cooler one. When they come to the land, it carry Okay, so they are in contact with the water. Therefore, if you stand here, you feel suddenly you feel like an breeze. Okay, you're feeling a cool air because these particles are coming from an water, and that water is cool compared to land. Are you getting me? Okay, so therefore, so this process continues. As this, again, this part is moving here. Therefore, the molecules which are present in the top, they come to the bottom. As you can see that this part, they come here. So one cycle is completed. Okay, so this part goes to here, this part comes here, and this part comes here. So a cycle take place. Again, when these molecules come here, the same phenomena take place. Okay, as you're getting the cool air from the water, therefore it is called sea breeze. Are you getting me? So this is called sea breeze. And in the night time, okay, so in the night time, the sun is absent. Then you have the second phenomena take place, that is called land breeze. Okay, at the night time, oh, now what happens here? Okay, so the sun is absent now. So now this time the surrounding temperature becomes less. Therefore, this water and land becomes the hot bodies. As you know that heat flows from hot body to cold body. Therefore, this water and land they start releasing the energy. Okay, they start releasing the energy. Again, the specific decides here. 4000, roughly I take 4000 joule per Kelvin roughly for C, and 400 joule per kg per Kelvin for land. Okay, so that means what? When 4000 joule of energy flows out of the water, okay, so when it flows out of the water, then there is a decrease of temperature by 1 Kelvin. Are you getting me? The same process. The 4000 joule of energy is required to raise the temperature by 1 Kelvin. Reverse is also true. 4000 joule of energy should be absorbed from the material to fall its temperature by 1 Kelvin. Okay, so when 4000 joule of energy it moves out from the water, the temperature decreases by 1 Kelvin. Whereas in case of land, when 400 joule of energy is released from the land, then its temperature decreases by 1 Kelvin. Okay, are you getting me? Okay, its temperature decreases by 1 Kelvin. Therefore, when 4000 joule of energy it moves out from the water, the temperature decreases by 1 Kelvin. When the 4000 joule of energy moves out from the land, then temperature decreases by 10 Kelvin, 10 times that of the 400. That means what? During the night time, land becomes cooler fast compared to water. Okay, for suddenly its temperature decreases by 10 Kelvin, as in the case of water, it decreases by 1 Kelvin. Okay, so who is hot now? Definitely water is hot compared to land. Okay, so this time the sea is hot and the land is the cold one. Okay, so therefore this time you can see that, so this time your water is a hot one. Therefore the air molecules which are in contact with the water, they get heated. As they get heated, their volume increases. As their volume increases, the density decreases. Therefore they rise upward. Okay, so these molecules rise upward. The same phenomena repeats here as they rise upwards. So a gap is created. To fulfill that gap, the molecules present on this which are contact with the land, they come to water part. Okay, they comes here. Okay, as they comes here, again a gap is created. To fulfill that gap, the layer of the molecules which are in the top, they come to the bottom. So then this layer goes here. Again the circulation takes place, but in a reverse direction. Last time it is moving from water to land. Okay, this time it is moving from land to water. Who is cooler here? Land is cooler. Okay, therefore this time if you stand here, you are getting A cool air, if you stand here, you're getting the cool air from the land. Last time you're getting the cool air from the water. Therefore, this time you're getting the cool air from the land. Therefore, it is called land breeze. So, why this land breeze and sea breeze take place? Very simple. It is due to the convection. Okay, it is an example for natural convection. Other examples are trade wind. Okay, if you go through the book, you will get an explanation for trade wind. So our earth has different temperature regions. Due to that temperature regions, even, okay, so the wind is created. Okay, so they move from one point to other point. Okay, earlier days the traders uses the direction of the wind for their movement. Okay, therefore it is called a trade wind. So trade wind is also example for convection. Okay, sorry, getting me? So these are the example for the explanation for convection. Okay, so next move on to the next one. Third type of mode transfer. So what is your third type of mode transfer? That is radiation. The third type of heat transfer is radiation. So what is meant by radiation? What is the difference between conduction and convection? In conduction, no movement of particle take place, but in convection, there is movement of particle take place. So what is the similarity between conduction and convection? The particles are involved, whether they are in movement or whether they are in non-movement, but the particles are required. That means some medium is required between the 2 points. But as you can see in case of sun, we are getting heat energy from the sun, from sun to earth for thousands of kilometers. There is no medium, but still we are getting the heat energy. That means what? Here the heat flows in such a way that there is no medium is required. Here the heat flows in the form of radiation. Okay, it flows in the form of a wave, a type of a wave. Now that wave, that corresponding, it is called a radiation. Okay, in a second PUC syllabus you have the more explanation for this radiation, because this heat is nothing but it comes under infrared radiation. Heat radiations are nothing but IR radiation, but this radiations, it's a big family. That family start from the gamma, X-ray, microwave, visible, IR, okay, radio, micro, ultraviolet. So these are, it is a big family, and IR radiations are part of the family. Okay, so when sun emits the radiation, it emits all type of radiations. It emits all type of radiations. Okay, visible part, violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, red. Now these are all nothing but electromagnetic radiations only, and IR or heat radiation is the part of that electromagnetic waves. Okay, so in a higher classes you study more about this radiation. I can say that now in this lecture I can say that this heat radiations, these radiations are nothing but their behavior is same as that of the light, their behavior is same as that of the microwaves, their behavior is same as that of the X-rays, gamma rays, their behaviors are same, their properties are same. Okay, if I discuss some of the properties here. Okay, the properties of the radiations are same as that of the properties of light. Okay, so as you know that how light travels in a straight line. That property is called rectilinear propagation. Rectilinear propagation. Okay, so rectilinear propagation. What is meant by rectilinear? Rectilinear means straight line. That means what? The radiations travels in a straight line. Okay, they are traveling like this. They are the electromagnetic waves which contains electric fields and magnetic fields. They are fluctuating, but if you take the overall direction of radiations, the overall direction of the radiation is straight line. Okay, so therefore heat flows from sun to earth in a straight line. Are you getting me? And second one is, what is the speed of that radiation? The speed of the radiation is same as that of the velocity of light in vacuum. That is nothing but 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second. Very high. The fastest moving particle in the universe is nothing but our photon A particle 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second. The highest is for the speed of electromagnetic radiations in vacuum, that is 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second. Okay, next properties, they undergo reflection and refraction. The radiations undergo reflection, they have the phenomena of reflection, they have the phenomena of refraction. Okay, they have the phenomena of reflection and they have the phenomena of refraction. Okay, so what is meant by reflection? Reflection means, as here, if the radiations are incident on the surface, okay, if the radiations are incident on the surface, then they goes to the same medium. They comes from the one medium, it goes to the same medium. Now that phenomena is called reflection. Okay, so if you stand, okay, so on some container, okay, heat container on the summer season, you feel the hotness. The reason is the radiations falls on that container. If the container is very polished, then you can easily observe that phenomena. It falls on that polished surface, again it get reflected back. Okay, so this is called reflection. And second is the refraction. Okay, you are sitting inside a home, okay, so still you feel hotness. Reason is when the radiations falls on it, they passes through the medium, they travel to the other medium. Okay, it can go to the other medium also. So that phenomena is called refraction. Okay, you are sitting inside a car, you feel the hotness. Okay, so therefore the radiations are moving from outside to your car. Okay, therefore they are moving from one medium to other medium, outside to inside. So this is called refraction. So this heat radiations, they undergoes reflection as well as the refraction. Okay. Yes, the one more phenomenon is that number of properties are there. I am discussing some of the main important properties. They obey inverse square law. They obey inverse square law. Okay, they obey inverse square law. Okay, so inverse square law. What is inverse square law? You can see that the gravitational force, or it may be electrostatic force, you have the large number of forces which obey inverse square law. As you can see, F is equal to G into M1 into M2 divided by R square. Okay, are you getting me? So as the distance increases, the force decreases. How it force decreases? It decreases the square times. Okay, so therefore it is called inverse square law. It is inversely proportional, and square times it is inverse. Okay, inverse square law. Okay, square law, that is intensity is inversely proportional to square of the distance. Okay, you can see that if some candle is there. Okay, if I take initial intensity as I, as you move 1 meter, if you move 2 meter away from this candle, if you are moving 2 meter away from this candle, then your intensity decreases by I by 4. If you move 3 meter away from the candle, you can see that when you stand in front of a fire, you feel more hotness. Okay, as you start moving away from the fire, you can see that the hotness goes on decreases. Okay, how it decreases? It decreases the square times. If you meet 3 meter away, then the intensity decreases by I by 9. So this is called inversely decreasing. Okay, square times inversely decreasing. So just like the Coulomb's law, gravitational law, this also obey the inverse square law. Okay, next is, so it doesn't depend on the medium. No medium is required. As I can say that now, this is the basic phenomena of radiation. So no medium is required. So no medium is required for the transformation of heat. Okay, no medium is required. If some medium is there, no problem. It passes through the medium, but it doesn't affect the medium. Are you getting me? Okay. So if you see that if a fire is there, you are standing here is okay in front of a fire, then you feel the hotness. Okay. If you measure your temperature, definitely your temperature has been increased. But if you take the intermediate medium, that intermediate medium is doesn't affect it. Are you getting me? Now, this radiation doesn't affect the intermediate medium. They falls on your body absorbs this radiation, and your temperature has been increased. But there is no question of rise of temperature between the mediums. Therefore, the medium is not affected. Okay, this radiation doesn't affect the intermediate medium. Doesn't affect the intermediate medium. Okay, so these are some of the properties of radiations. Okay, so as I can already say that radiation is not it is not a single concept. It comes with complete electromagnetic radiations, and higher radiations, the heat radiations, are nothing but they are the part of this electromagnetic radiations. Okay, so move on to the last part now. Last part of this topic. Okay, so when you supply the heat, the material gets heated. Okay, so you heat some milk in a container, the milk get heated. So when you put this, okay, so container of milk on the table, you can see that it start cooling. The temperature of the milk start decreases. Okay, that is nothing but cooling. What is cooling? If there is a fall of temperature, then it is called cooling. Why cooling take place? Very simple, because this time heat energy is moving out of the substance. As it is moving out of the substance, there is a loss of heat energy. As the loss of heat energy, temperature decreases. Now that phenomenon is called cooling. Okay, you can observe that. Okay, so your milk starts cooling. Okay, you have a hot cup of coffee. Okay, if you want to drink it, initially you can't drink it because it is too hot. Then you wait for certain minutes. After certain minutes, the temperature has been decreased. So that is a cooling. Okay, so this is a natural phenomena. Okay, this is a natural phenomena. Cooling is a natural phenomena. It cools down, and finally, when that temperature of that milk becomes same as the temperature of surrounding, then it stops, because heat flows from hot body to cold body. When the temperatures of the both bodies become same, then heat doesn't flow. It stops. Okay, so now if you observe that one, if I make a fine experiment on this observation, okay, as we are doing in a PUC one syllabus. Okay, so if I observe this, if I study this phenomena of cooling, to study that phenomena, very simple, you require one thermometer and one stopwatch. You put thermometer on the hot substance, milk or water, whatever may be. Okay, initially raised to some 80 degrees centigrade. Then, okay, so you put on the table and just measure the time. Okay, when your temperature is 80 degrees centigrade, let me assume that this time is 0. You start the stopwatch, the temperature start decreasing, your 80 becomes 70, then 60, then 50, then 40, like this. Okay, if you observe this one, if you make some simple experiment, if you make certain observations, if you write the observation on some chart here, then you will get a phenomena like this. 80 to 70, 10 degree fall, nearly you require some 5 minutes. Okay, then 70 to 60, you require certain 30 minutes, 13 minutes. For first 10 degree, it requires 5 minutes. For the next 10 degree, it taking certain larger time. Let me say that it is 13 minutes. Next one 60 to 50, it takes again some other time, some large time, 27 minutes, and 50 to 40. Okay, it may take some 40 minutes like this. So this time interval goes on, increases. Okay, so this is systematically observed by, okay, first time it is systematically, this cooling phenomenon is systematically observed by Sir Isaac Newton. Okay, and he has given a very straightforward law to explain the phenomenon of cooling, and that phenomenon is called Newton's law of cooling. Okay, so cooling is also an systematic phenomena. Okay, so simply it doesn't drop out to the surrounding, but it follows certain exponential behavior. Okay, it is an exponential behavior, and that behavior is given by Newton in the form of law. That law is called Newton's law of That law is called Newton's law of cooling. This law is called Newton's law of cooling. Okay, so first let me write the statement, then I go for the explanation for Newton's law of cooling. What is Newton's law of cooling? Rate of loss of heat energy. Rate of loss of heat energy is directly proportional to is directly is directly proportional to is directly proportional to the temperature difference. Directly proportional to the temperature difference between the body which loses the heat energy, the temperature difference between the body and its surrounding. The temperature difference between the body and its surrounding. This is called Newton's law of cooling. Newton says that, so when it starts cooling, there is a loss of heat energy. Okay, he's saying that a loss of heat energy per unit time, that rate depends on what factors? It depends on the temperature difference between the body and the surrounding. When this temperature difference between the body and the surrounding, if the temperature difference decreases as the material start attaining the temperature of surrounding, then it takes more time to fall. Okay, it takes more time. Therefore, he is saying that the rate of loss of heat energy is directly proportional to temperature difference between body and the surrounding. Okay, as you can see that in case of summer season, okay, for the bath you take a hot water, you just heat the water so it becomes a hot. Okay, after 5 minutes, if you observe, there is some fall of temperature, definitely the fall of temperature, but that fall of temperature is less compared to when you are in a winter season. Okay, when you are in a winter season, you heat the water, and after 5 minutes, if you observe the temperature of the water, then that fall is great compared to summer season. The reason is, in the summer season, your temperature is around something, the surrounding temperature is something around 35 degrees centigrade. Okay, so you heated the water to some 70 degrees centigrade, and in the summer season your temperature is 35. Okay, so what is the temperature difference? The temperature difference is something around 35 degrees centigrade. But in a winter season, again you heated your water to 70 degrees centigrade, and your surrounding temperature is something 25 degrees centigrade, and the temperature difference is 45. So more is the temperature, more will be the loss of heat. Okay, therefore in the winter season, the water suddenly cool down compared to the summer season. Okay, so Newton says that this rate of loss of heat is depends on what? It depends on the temperature difference between the body and its surrounding. Okay, so this is the Newton's law of cooling, and based on the Newton's law of cooling, we can give a fine formula for the time to fall. Okay, I can give a direct formula. I can say that at that time, okay, the temperature is this one. Okay, we can give a very systematic formula for an cooling. Okay, so we can give the temperature value for the cooling body at any instant of time by using the Newton's law of cooling and by using the definition of specific heat. Okay, so Newton's law says that the rate of loss of heat energy. Okay, if I assume that, so this is a material, so it is very hot now, so let me assume that its high temperature is T1. When the temperature is T1, it has got certain energy Q1. What is Q1? Q1 is the amount of heat energy. Q1 is the amount of heat energy present in the material at a time T1. Let's start cooling. What is meant by cooling? That means the heat energy goes out from the body now. As the heat energy goes out from the body, its temperature decreases. Let me assume that after certain time, okay, after certain time, if I take dt is the small time, okay, so after that time interval Okay, so if I take t1 as an initial time, t2 as the final time, so what is the change in time? The change in time is dt. Okay, during that time the temperature now reaches to t2. Okay, you can see that the t2 is less than t1 because it is cooling now. So what is the amount of heat energy in the body? The amount of heat energy in the body is q2. The amount of heat energy in the body is q2. So what is the rate of loss of heat? How much of heat is lost? The loss of heat is, how much? If I call dq is the loss of heat, how much it is? Initially it is q1, now it is q2. Therefore you can say that q1 minus q2. This is a loss of heat. Initially it has 100 joule. It has some 100 joule. Now its energy becomes 60 joule. Now what is the loss of heat energy? Or what is the heat energy which comes out from the body? It is 100 minus 60. How much it is? 40 joule of energy has been lost. Okay, are you getting me? So what is the loss of heat? The loss of heat is q1 minus q2. Okay, in a time you can see that initial time is t1, the final time is t2. So in a time it is t2 minus t1. Are you getting me? So if I write in terms of rate, so what is velocity? Rate of change of displacement. What is acceleration? Rate. So what is meant by rate? Rate means the change in the quantity divided by the change in time. Okay, the change in the quantity divided by change in the time. Now that is called rate of flow. Okay, so if I call the rate of loss of heat energy, if I say that the rate of loss of heat, then what is the rate of loss of heat? It is the rate of loss of heat is nothing but the change in the quantity divided by the change in the time. What is change in the quantity? You always write q2 minus q1. Are you getting me? You have to write q2 minus q1 because it is always final minus initial divided by the final time minus initial time, t2 minus t1. Okay, write me like this. It can be written as dq by dt. So dq means the change, q2 minus q1, and dt means the change in time with the minus sign. Why minus sign? You can see that q2 is less than q1. q1 has more energy. Okay, after a certain time some amount of energy is left out from the body, therefore its heat energy has been decreased. If you make q2 minus q1, then you can see that this is 60 minus 100, that means it's minus 40. Therefore I have to write minus dq by dt. So what is the rate of loss of heat? It is minus dq by dt. Okay, are you getting me? And the Newton says that now this is directly proportional to temperature difference between the body and the surrounding. Okay, if I take the temperature of the body as T1 and the temperature of the surrounding as T2. Okay, what is T1? T1 is the temperature of the initial temperature of the body, and T2 is the temperature of the surrounding. Then the temperature difference between the body and the surrounding is given by, okay, temperature difference. The temperature difference between body and the surrounding is the body and its surrounding is how much? That is something but T2 minus T1. T2 is the temperature of the surrounding body, T1 is the temperature of this one. Therefore the temperature difference between the body and the surrounding, it is T2 minus T1. Okay, so as according to Newton's law, you can say that. So what is the relation between, now the relation between, if I write in terms of mathematical terms, so the rate of loss of heat, that is minus dq by dt, is directly proportional to temperature difference between the body, and the temperature difference between the body is T2 minus T1. Okay, are you getting me? It is T2 minus T1. Okay. Okay, so this is the amount of heat energy. dq is the amount of heat energy which is left out from the body in a time interval dt. Okay, if T1 is the temperature of the body, if T2 is the temperature of the surrounding, then dq by dt is directly proportional to T2 minus T1. Okay, so when quantities are directly proportional, you know that. Okay, you can make them equal by taking certain proportionality constant. If I take the proportionality constant as k, then it can be written as dq by dt is equal to k into T2 minus T1. Okay, so let me make a small change here. So let me take T2 as the temperature of the body, as T1 as the temperature of surrounding. Otherwise, if I take this T1 and T2, then it becomes T2 minus T1 as negative. Therefore, the whole thing becomes positive. Okay, so therefore, let me make some correction here. Let me take T2 as the temperature of the body and T1 is the temperature of the surrounding. So that T2 is greater than T1. Okay, therefore, I am getting some K here. Okay, so this K should be a positive constant. Okay, why I am getting constant? Because to remove that proportionality, definitely in mathematics we get the proportionality constant. We have to give some meaning for the proportionality constant here. So K is a positive constant. It should be some positive constant. If it is a negative constant, again our entire theory fails here. So it should be a positive constant. And here you can see that this time the rate of loss of heat, it also depends on the K. Okay, if you make some observations on our day-to-day life, you can see that. So you can understand what is meant by K. So K depends on, first of all, it's depend on the nature of the surface and the area. The K depends on two quantity. One depend on the nature of the surface, and second one area of the surface. If area is more, then loss of heat is also more. Are you getting me? If your area is more, if you have the more area, then there is more loss of heat energy because more area is exposed to the surrounding. Okay, if you are keeping your area closed, if you are packing it, then the loss of heat is less. But if you are exposing more, okay, if you heat your water, if you remove the lid on the water, then what happens? Your water get cooled down fastly. That means more of the area is exposed to the surrounding. Therefore, it depends on the nature. And second one, area. Second one, it also depends on the nature. As you know that if black and white, if you take black and white, then white liberates more heat energy compared to white. Okay, so the poly surface liberates more heat energy compared to the rough surface. Therefore, it also depends on the nature of the surface. Therefore, K is a constant. It depends on the area and nature of the surface. Okay, so let me call this equation is equation 1. So this equation I am getting from Newton's law of cooling. Okay, again, if I take the concept of specific heat, because if there is a change of temperature, then you should have the amount of heat energy liberated by the body. It can also be written in terms of specific heat formula. If there is a change of temperature, I can see that if there is a change of temperature, some heat is flowing out. Okay, so some temperature has been changed. Therefore, you can use the concept of specific heat. If I assume that if m is the mass of that substance, okay, whatever may be the substance, it may be liquid or solid, whatever may be, and if S is the specific heat, and S is the specific heat of the substance, then what is the formula for specific heat? As you already know that Q is equal to amount of heat liberated from the body or going into the body. It depends on M, it depends on S, it also depends on the temperature difference, T2 minus T1. Okay, so therefore I can write here, if I Q is the amount of heat energy, dq is the amount of heat energy moving out from the body, then if m is the mass of the body, s is the specific heat of the substance. If the temperature difference is, if I take this one as the temperature difference as some, okay, so if T is the amount of heat, that means dt is the change of temperature, then I can write as dq is equal to m into s into dt. Okay, are you getting me? So you can say that. So it is okay, so m into s into dt like that. So to equate equation 1 and equation 2, let me take dt on both the side. If I take dt on the both the side, okay, so dq by dt, it becomes m into s into dt by dt. Let me call this equation number 2. Okay, so if okay, so I want to equate equation 1 and equation 2. Therefore, I am throughout dividing by dt, and you can see that dq by dt, here it is ms into dt by dt. Therefore, I can say that equation 1 and equation 2 are same. If you take the left hand part of equation 1 and equation 2, you can say that they are same. Okay, therefore, I can write here, so it is m into s into dt by dt. It is a change in temperature divided by the change in time is equal to minus of k into T2 minus T. Okay, I want this T1 and T2. Okay, so let me go for the mathematical modification. If I take the constants on the other side, so here it becomes some dt by dt. Okay, or if I write T2 minus T1 like this, so it is a T2 minus T1 is equal to T2 minus T1 is equal to minus k by ms. K is constant, m is mass of the body, that is constant, s is the specific constant. Okay, specific heat constant. So these are the constant into, okay, so it is dt by t. Okay, again let me if I take some modifications here. Okay, T2 minus T1 is equal to, okay, if I take t on the other side and dt on the, okay, so if I take again modify like this, if I make d2 divided by t2 minus t1, I have to follow certain integration step here. Okay, so it is dt divided by t2 minus t1 is equal to, okay, this is k ms, they are all constant, k is constant, m is constant. So let me write one more constant k, capital K. What is capital K? It is one more constant. If you take k, if you take m, you take yes, again it becomes a constant only. Okay, this is, let me write capital K, it is again a constant, constant into constant multiplied by constant, again it becomes an constant. Therefore dt by t2 minus t1 is equal to minus k into, okay, so minus k into, it becomes an t. Okay, so next is an integration. In the second PUC, you are aware of an integration. If you integrate on both sides of the equation, okay, now this is of the form, integration of dx by x. Now this is of the form, the integration of dx by x, the integration of dx by x, it can be written as log of x to the base c. Now this is a standard formula in integration, okay, which are you are going to study in the second PUC. So directly I can write, so this is log of, so is x here, t2 minus t1, therefore it becomes log of t2 minus t1 to the base e. Okay, to the base e is equal to, the integration is not applicable for constant, so this is an integration of dt is nothing but t plus you are getting some constant. Okay, so these are going to study in second PUC. Therefore I can say that the log of, okay, so log of t2 minus t1 to the base e can be written as minus kt plus c. If you remove the log, then it becomes t2 minus t1 is equal to, if you remove the log, again you study in the mathematics, it becomes e raised to minus kt c. Okay, some other constant on the c here, but this c and this c are different, they are some other constant, therefore I can finally write, so what is t2? T2 can be written as t1 plus e raised to minus kt plus c. Okay, so the fall of temperature, the change of the temperature, it's a systematic phenomena. At what time, what may be the temperature of the body, it is given by T2 is equal to T1 plus e raised to minus kt plus c. Okay, so by using the Newton's law of cooling, okay, by understanding Newton's law of cooling, we can give the temperature of hot body at any instant of time. Okay, so let me stop my lecture here, and this is the completion of our topic by the name called thermal properties of matter. Okay, so thank you for your kind attention.